How much of your life have you sacrificed on the altar of other people's opinions? How many dreams have you abandoned because of what they might think? How many words have you swallowed? How many versions of yourself have you hidden? How many times have you chosen their comfort over your authenticity? What if I told you that this prison you're living in, this constant worry about what others think, it's not even real? The chains binding you are made of smoke. The walls surrounding you are built from thoughts. And the judges you fear so much, they're too busy worrying about their own lives to spend much time thinking about yours. Welcome back, seekers of freedom. Today we're going to explore one of the most liberating truths Buddha ever taught. A truth that, when you really understand it, will completely transform how you move through this world. You are not here to live according to other people's expectations. You are not here to collect approval like badges of honor. You are not here to make everyone comfortable with your choices. You are here to live your truth, walk your path, and become who you were meant to be. And that cannot happen while you're imprisoned by the opinions of others. Buddha taught, "What you think of me is none of my business." But we've made it our entire business. We've built our lives around it. We've shaped ourselves to fit into boxes others created. We've dimmed our light so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. We've played small so others wouldn't feel threatened. And what has it given you? Peace or anxiety? Freedom or prison? Authenticity or exhaustion from wearing so many masks? Today that ends. Today you learn how to break free, not by becoming arrogant or indifferent, not by isolating yourself or rejecting all feedback, but by discovering a deeper truth about whose opinion actually matters, by understanding the difference between wisdom and judgment, by learning to live from your center instead of from the approval of the crowd. This is not about not caring what anyone thinks. This is about caring more about your own truth than their comfort. This is about reclaiming your power. This is about freedom. Are you ready? Let's begin. Lesson 1. The invisible prison of approval. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine you're standing on a stage. The lights are bright. You can't see the audience clearly, but you know they're there. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, and they're all watching you, judging every word you say, every move you make, every choice you reveal. Now ask yourself, how much of your life have you lived on that stage? Performing, calculating, adjusting yourself based on their reactions. This is the invisible prison, and most people spend their entire lives inside it without even realizing the door was never locked. Think about it. Really think about it. How many decisions have you made based on what others would think? You stayed in a relationship longer than you should have because of what people would say about the breakup. You took a job you didn't want because it looked good to others. You dressed a certain way, spoke a certain way, behaved a certain way, not because it felt authentic to you, but because it fit the image others expected. You didn't pursue your dream because people called it unrealistic. You didn't speak up for yourself because you didn't want to be seen as difficult. You didn't set boundaries because you wanted to be liked. You didn't show your true self because you were terrified of rejection. Buddha observed this pattern in human behavior, and he said something profound. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. The same is true for seeking approval. You think you're protecting yourself by caring what others think, but actually you're imprisoning yourself. You're giving away your power. You're allowing other people's thoughts to control your actions, your choices, your very life. And here's the painful truth most people never realize. While you're obsessing over what they think of you, they're barely thinking of you at all. They're too busy worrying about what you think of them. They're too caught up in their own lives, their own problems, their own insecurities to spend much time analyzing yours. There's a story about a student who came to his master deeply troubled. "Master," he said, "I'm so worried about what people think of me. Every time I walk down the street, I wonder if they're judging my appearance, my walk, my expression. It's exhausting." The master smiled and asked, "How often do you think about them when you're walking?" The student paused. "I don't. I'm too busy thinking about myself." "Exactly," the master replied. "And they're doing the same. You're so busy worrying about their judgment that you don't realize they're equally absorbed in their own concerns. You're not the center of their universe. You're barely a passing thought." This realization is both humbling and liberating. Humbling because we all want to believe we matter more in others' minds than we actually do. Liberating because it means the judgment we fear so much is mostly happening in our own imagination. But the prison goes deeper than just worrying about judgment. It's about how you've shaped your entire identity around external validation. You've become an actor playing different roles for different audiences. With your parents, you're the dutiful child. With your friends, you're the fun one or the smart one or the reliable one. At work, you're the professional. On social media, you're the curated version you think will get the most likes. And somewhere in all these performances, the real you got lost. You don't even know who you are anymore without an audience. You don't know what you actually want versus what you think you should want. You can't distinguish between your authentic voice and the voice that's been trained to say what others want to hear. This is the cost of living for approval. You lose yourself along the way, the gradual disappearance of your authenticity, the suffocation of your true nature under layers and layers of who you think you should be. Buddha taught, when you realize how perfect everything is, you will tilt your head back and laugh at the sky. But you can't realize the perfection while you're constantly measuring yourself against others' standards. You can't see your own value while you're desperate for their validation. You can't be yourself while you're performing for their approval. So recognize this truth right now. You are living in a prison made of other people's opinions, expectations, and judgments. But here's the beautiful part. Here's the truth that changes everything. The door has always been open. You're free to walk out anytime you choose. You just have to decide that your authenticity matters more than their approval, that your peace matters more than their comfort, that your truth matters more than their expectations. The question is, are you ready? Are you ready to stop performing and start living? Are you ready to stop hiding and start being seen? Are you ready to stop shrinking and start expanding into who you really are? Because the moment you step out of that prison, the moment you stop caring what they think, that's when your real life begins. Not the life they want for you, your life, the one you came here to live. Lesson 2. Why you seek their approval. Before you can break free from caring what others think, you need to understand why you do it in the first place. Because this need for approval didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was planted, cultivated, reinforced over years until it became the lens through which you see everything. You were born completely free. When you were a baby, you didn't care if people thought you were too loud, too needy, too messy. You cried when you needed something. You laughed when something delighted you. You existed without self-consciousness, without shame, without the constant calculation of how others perceived you. But then, something happened. You learned that approval brought rewards. When you behaved the way they wanted, you got praise, affection, treats. When you didn't, you got disapproval, disappointment, maybe even punishment. Slowly, you learned that love was conditional. That acceptance had requirements. That belonging came with a price. Conformity. Your parents with good intentions or not taught you to be good, but good meant whatever made them comfortable. It meant don't be too loud, don't be too wild, don't be too different. It meant fit the mold we've created for you. And if you didn't, if you showed the parts of yourself they found difficult or inconvenient, you felt their withdrawal, their disappointment, their disapproval. And to a child, disapproval feels like death. Because you're completely dependent on these adults for survival. Their rejection isn't just uncomfortable, it feels life-threatening. So you learn to hide parts of yourself, to perform, to be what they needed you to be in order to secure their love. Then you went to school, and the lesson intensified. Now it wasn't just your parents whose approval you needed. It was teachers, classmates, the entire social hierarchy. You learned that being different meant being bullied. that standing out in the wrong way meant being excluded, that the safest path was to blend in, fit in, not make waves. You watched what happened to the kids who were too weird, too smart, too different. They were mocked, isolated, rejected. And you made a decision, unconscious but powerful. I will not let that happen to me. I will do whatever it takes to be accepted, even if it means hiding who I really am. Buddha understood this. He saw how social conditioning creates suffering. He taught, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. And what were you taught to think? That your value comes from others' validation, that your worth is determined by their approval. This conditioning runs deep. It's in the grades you were given, the praise you received for obedience, the punishments for questioning authority. It's in the messages from media showing you what success looks like, what beauty is, what a good life should be. It's in the religion that taught you to be humble, which often meant don't be too confident, don't take up too much space, don't trust your own knowing. Layer by layer, year by year, you were taught to look outside yourself for validation, to check everyone else's reactions before trusting your own instincts, to value their opinions more than your own inner guidance. And now, as an adult, you're still doing it, still seeking approval like a child seeking a parent's praise, still performing for acceptance, still hiding your truth to avoid rejection. The players have changed, the stakes feel higher, but the pattern is the same. But here's what you need to understand. This need for approval, it's not actually about them. It's about you. It's about the belief that you're not enough as you are, that your authentic self is somehow flawed, insufficient, unworthy of love. So you create these masks, these performances, these carefully curated versions of yourself that you think will finally earn the acceptance you crave. But it never works. Not really. Because even when you get their approval, it doesn't fill the void, it doesn't make you feel truly seen or loved. Because they're not seeing you. They're seeing the performance. They're approving of the mask, not the face beneath it. Buddha taught about the concept of anatta, no permanent self. But seeking approval creates a false self, a self built entirely from others' opinions and expectations, a self that has no core, no center, no stability, because it changes with every audience. It adapts to every situation. It has no truth of its own. So understand this. The reason you care so much what they think is because you've been trained to. Because you've been taught that their opinion matters more than your own truth. Because you believe deep down that you need their approval to be okay. Their approval doesn't make you worthy. Their disapproval doesn't make you unworthy. You simply are. You exist. You have value, not because of what they think, but because you are alive, you are here, you are a unique expression of existence itself. And when you really understand this, when you really let this truth land, everything changes. The need for approval begins to lose its grip. The prison door starts to open, and you begin the journey home to yourself. Lesson 3. The illusion of universal approval. Let me tell you something that will either terrify you or liberate you, depending on how you receive it. You cannot please everyone. It's not possible. It has never been possible. It will never be possible. And trying to do so is the fastest path to losing yourself completely. Think about the most universally beloved people in history. Buddha himself, Jesus, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, people who dedicated their lives to peace, compassion, service, people who genuinely tried to help humanity, and still they had critics. Still, people judged them, misunderstood them, rejected them, even killed them. If they couldn't win universal approval, what makes you think you can? If people who devoted their lives to goodness still faced rejection, why are you exhausting yourself trying to make everyone happy with your choices? There's a famous Buddhist parable about this. A man, his son, and their donkey were traveling to market. At first they both walked while the donkey carried their goods. People they passed criticized them. "How foolish, you have a donkey and you're both walking?" So the father got on the donkey. Then people said, "How cruel, the father rides while the young boy walks." So they switched and the son rode. Then people said, "How disrespectful. The son rides in comfort while his elderly father walks." So they both got on the donkey. Then people said, "How abusive, that poor donkey carrying both of them." Finally, frustrated, they carried the donkey. And people laughed at them. "Look at those fools carrying their donkey." The lesson: no matter what you do, someone will criticize it. Someone will think you're doing it wrong. Someone will judge your choices. This is guaranteed. It's not a possibility, it's a certainty. So if criticism is inevitable regardless of what you choose, why are you basing your choices on trying to avoid it? Why are you contorting yourself, sacrificing your authenticity, betraying your truth, all in an attempt to achieve something? That's literally impossible. Buddha taught, even death is not to be feared by one who has lived wisely. But we fear something much less significant: disapproval. We fear it so much that we shape our entire lives around avoiding it, and in doing so, we create a different kind of death, the death of our authentic self. Here's another truth you need to accept. The people who judge you, they're not even consistent in their judgments. The same person who criticizes you for being too ambitious will later criticize you for playing it safe. The same person who says you're too sensitive will later say you're too cold. The same person who wants you to change will then say you're being inauthentic, because their judgments aren't actually about you. They're about them, their insecurities, their unmet needs, their own internal struggles projected onto you. When someone criticizes you for being too successful, it's often because they feel inadequate about their own achievements. When someone judges you for being different, it's often because they're afraid to be different themselves. You are simply the screen onto which they project their own issues, and you cannot control what movie they're playing in their mind. You cannot manage their projections. You cannot heal their wounds by dimming your light. You cannot fix their insecurities by making yourself smaller. There's a Zen teaching: the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. When people judge you, they're not seeing you accurately. They're seeing their interpretation of you, filtered through their own experiences, wounds, and limitations. They're seeing a version of you that exists only in their mind. And that version, whatever they think of it, is not your responsibility. So let's do a thought experiment. Imagine you could actually achieve universal approval. Imagine everyone liked you, no one criticized you, everyone approved of your choices. What would that look like? It would mean you never challenged anyone, never made anyone uncomfortable, never stood for anything controversial, never grew beyond what's familiar, never expressed opinions that differ from the consensus, never set boundaries that inconvenience others, never pursued dreams that others don't understand. In other words, to achieve universal approval, you would have to become completely bland, completely passive, completely inauthentic. You would have to betray every unique thing about yourself. You would have to abandon your truth entirely. And even then, even if you succeeded in becoming this neutral, inoffensive, agreeable version of yourself, some people still wouldn't like you. Because some people are just unhappy, and they project that unhappiness outward. Some people need someone to criticize to feel better about themselves. Some people will judge you for being too agreeable, too passive, too boring. You cannot win this game. The only winning move is to stop playing. Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." The same is true for validation. It comes from within. When you seek it outside, when you try to earn it through others' approval, you put your peace in their hands. You make them responsible for your emotional state. You give them power over your life. But when you validate yourself, when you approve of your own choices based on your own values, When you like yourself regardless of whether they do, you take your power back. You become unshakable, because now your peace doesn't depend on their opinion. Your worth isn't determined by their approval. This doesn't mean you don't care about anyone's opinion ever. There are people whose wisdom you respect, whose feedback you value. The difference is this: when you're secure in yourself, you can hear criticism without being destroyed by it. You can consider it, take what's useful, and release what isn't. But when you're desperate for approval, every criticism feels like a threat to your existence. Every judgment confirms your worst fears about yourself. So practice this. Every time you catch yourself worrying what someone thinks, ask yourself, whose life am I living? Mine or theirs? Whose values am I honoring? My own or someone else's? Whose approval do I actually need to feel good about myself? And then remember, universal approval is an illusion, a trap, a prison. And the moment you stop chasing it, the moment you accept that some people will judge you no matter what you do, that's when you become free to actually be yourself. Lesson 4. The mirror of projection. Here's something most people never realize. When someone judges you, they're telling you more about themselves than they are about you. Their criticism is a mirror reflecting their own fears, insecurities, and unhealed wounds. And once you understand this, once you really see it, other people's judgments lose their power over you completely. Let me explain how projection works. Everyone sees the world through their own filter, their own lens shaped by their experiences, beliefs, traumas, and conditioning. They don't see reality as it is. They see reality as they are. And when they look at you, they're not seeing you clearly. They're seeing you through that distorted lens. When someone criticizes you for being too ambitious, what are they really saying? Often they're revealing their own fear of failure, their own resignation about their dreams, their own story that it's safer to play small. When someone judges you for setting boundaries, what are they revealing? Their own discomfort with boundaries, their own inability to say no, their own pattern of people-pleasing. When someone is threatened by your success, when they try to diminish your achievements or highlight your flaws, what does that tell you? It tells you they feel inadequate. They feel left behind. And rather than working on themselves, rather than addressing their own feelings of inadequacy, they project those feelings onto you in the form of judgment. Buddha taught extensively about this. He said, "Whatever words we utter should be chosen with care, for people will hear them and be influenced by them for good or ill." But he also taught that the words others speak reveal their own state of mind. A peaceful person speaks peacefully. An angry person speaks angrily. A secure person doesn't need to tear others down. There's a story about Buddha himself that illustrates this perfectly. One day a man approached him and began hurling insults. He criticized Buddha's teachings, his appearance, his choices. He went on, trying to provoke a reaction. Buddha sat calmly, listening without responding. Finally, the man, frustrated by the lack of reaction, asked, "Why don't you respond? Why don't you defend yourself?" Buddha replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does it belong?" The man thought for a moment and said, "It still belongs to the person who offered it." Buddha smiled. "Exactly. You've offered me your anger and insults. I don't accept them, so they remain yours. This is wisdom. Understanding that other people's judgments are offerings you don't have to accept. They're gifts you can decline. They're projections that say nothing about your worth and everything about their state of mind. But most people don't see it this way. When someone criticizes them, they immediately internalize it. They take it personally. They assume the criticism is accurate. They use it as confirmation of their worst beliefs about themselves. They accept the gift of judgment and then wonder why they feel so terrible. So let's look more closely at common judgments and what they really reveal. Someone says you're selfish for prioritizing your needs. What are they really saying? They're revealing their belief that your value comes from sacrificing yourself for others. They're showing you their own pattern of self-neglect disguised as virtue. They're projecting their resentment about their own inability to prioritize themselves. Someone says you're irresponsible for taking a risk, for leaving the secure job, for choosing the unconventional path. What are they revealing? Their own fear, their own attachment to security, their own regret about the risks they didn't take. They're not warning you about actual danger. They're projecting their own fear of stepping outside the safe zone. Someone says you've changed, and not in a good way. What does this mean? It means you've grown beyond their comfort zone. You've evolved past the version of you they knew how to relate to. And rather than growing with you, rather than celebrating your evolution, they're criticizing it because it threatens their sense of stability. Someone judges your appearance, your choices, your lifestyle. They have opinions about how you should dress, what you should weigh, how you should spend your money, what kind of relationship you should have. What are they revealing? That they've bought into specific standards, and they need everyone else to conform to validate their own choices. Your differentness threatens their certainty about what's right. Buddha taught about the concept of samaditthi, right view. It's about seeing things as they truly are, without the distortion of ego, fear, or conditioning. But most people don't have right view. They have distorted view. They see everything through the lens of their own suffering, their own limitations, their own unresolved issues. And here's what's important to understand. You cannot control their lens. You cannot make them see you clearly. You cannot force them to project different movies onto the screen of your life. Their perceptions are their responsibility, not yours. Your responsibility is to know yourself clearly enough that their distorted projections don't define you. This doesn't mean all criticism is invalid. Sometimes people offer genuine feedback that's useful. But you can tell the difference. Useful feedback is specific, constructive, and comes from a place of care. It sounds like, I noticed this specific behavior and here's how it affected me. Projection sounds like, I got too much, not enough, wrong for being who you are. Useful feedback focuses on actions you can change. Projection attacks your inherent nature, your authentic self. Useful feedback makes you think, maybe there's something I can learn here. Projection makes you feel, there's something fundamentally wrong with me. So, practice this. When someone judges you, instead of immediately accepting their criticism as truth, pause. Step back. Look at what they're really revealing about themselves. Ask yourself, is this about me or is this about them? Is this accurate feedback or is this their projection? Is this wisdom I should consider? Or is this their fear, their insecurity, their unhealed wound? More often than not, you'll discover it's the latter. And once you see that, once you understand that their judgment is their mirror, not your reality, you become free. Free to be yourself without needing their approval. Free to grow without fearing their criticism. Free to live your truth without being held hostage by their projections. Buddha said, the tongue like a sharp knife kills without drawing blood, but only if you give it power. Only if you accept the wound. Only if you believe their projection is your truth. When you understand that their words reveal them, not you, the knife loses its edge. The criticism loses its power, and you remain centered, peaceful, free. Lesson 5. Whose life are you living? Stop for a moment and ask yourself this question honestly. Whose life are you actually living? Yours? Or a version you think will meet everyone else's expectations? Are you making choices based on what you truly want, or based on what you think you should want? Are you following your dreams, or following the path others laid out for you? This might be the most important question you'll ever answer, because most people reach the end of their lives and realize they never actually lived. There's a famous study of hospice patients, people in the final weeks of their lives. When asked about their biggest regrets, the most common response wasn't about things they did. It was about things they didn't do. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. That was the number one regret. Above all others, Think about that. At the end, when nothing else matters, when all the performances fall away, people don't regret failing to please others. They regret succeeding at it. They regret prioritizing others' comfort over their own authenticity. They regret choosing approval over truth. Buddha taught about this extensively. He called it sammakamanta, right action. But right doesn't mean what's right according to others. It means what's aligned with your own truth, your own values, your own path. It means acting from your authentic center, not from fear of judgment. But somewhere along the way, you learn to betray yourself. You learned that your own knowing, your own desires, your own truth wasn't trustworthy. You learned to look outside for answers that can only be found within. You learned to value their opinions more than your own inner guidance. And now you're living a life that looks good on paper, but feels empty inside. You have the career that impresses people, but doesn't fulfill you. You're in the relationship that meets social expectations, but doesn't nourish your soul. You maintain the lifestyle that looks successful, but leaves you exhausted and disconnected from yourself. You wear the clothes they approve of, even if they don't feel like you. You express the opinions that won't rock the boat, even when your truth is different. You pursue the goals that will make your family proud, even when your heart calls you elsewhere. You maintain friendships that drain you, because ending them would disappoint people. You stay small, stay quiet, stay safe, because being seen, being bold, being authentic might invite judgment. And with each choice made from fear of judgment rather than alignment with truth, you abandon yourself a little more. You betray your own soul a little further. You build a life that's acceptable to everyone, except the one person who has to live it. You. There's a Zen story about a fish who spent his whole life swimming upstream, because that's what all the other fish were doing. He was exhausted, constantly struggling, but he kept going because he thought that's what you're supposed to do. One day he asked an older fish, "Why are we swimming upstream?" The older fish replied, "I don't know. We've always done it this way." In that moment, the young fish stopped, turned around, and began swimming downstream. It was effortless, natural, aligned with the current, and he realized he'd been fighting against his own nature his entire life just to fit in with the school. Are you that fish? Swimming upstream because that's what everyone else is doing? Exhausting yourself to conform to a path that doesn't fit your nature? Betraying your own current to stay with the school? Buddha's entire teaching was about awakening to your own truth, not his truth, not the religion's truth, not society's truth. Your truth. He didn't want followers. He wanted people to discover their own wisdom, walk their own path, trust their own experience. He said, "Be a lamp unto yourself." Not be like me. Not follow me. Be your own light. Trust your own knowing. Live your own truth, because no one else can live your life for you. No one else knows what your soul came here to do. No one else feels what you feel, knows what you know, sees what you see. So how do you start living your own life instead of the one you think they want? First, you have to get quiet enough to hear your own voice beneath all the others. Practice asking yourself, if no one would judge me, what would I choose? If approval didn't matter, what would I pursue? If I could disappoint everyone and it wouldn't affect me, what would I do differently? Who would I be if I wasn't afraid of their reactions? The answers that come up, they're your truth. That's your authentic self speaking. That's the life you're meant to be living. And every time you ignore that voice in favor of their expectations, you abandon yourself. Every time you choose their approval over your authenticity, you betray your own soul. Second, start making small choices from your truth. You don't have to blow up your whole life today, but you can start honoring yourself in small ways. Say no to something you don't want to do. Express an opinion that might not be popular. Wear something that feels like you, even if it doesn't fit the dress code. Pursue a hobby that interests you, even if others don't understand it. Each small choice from authenticity strengthens your connection to yourself. Each small act of courage builds your capacity for bigger ones. Each time you choose truth over approval, you reclaim a piece of your soul. Third, accept that living authentically will disappoint some people. It will, this is guaranteed. When you stop performing, some people will be uncomfortable. When you stop conforming, some people will be critical. When you start setting boundaries, some people will be upset. This is not a reason to stay small. This is the price of freedom. Buddha said, "You can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself, and that person is not to be found anywhere. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Read that again. You deserve your own love and affection. You deserve to be yourself fully and unapologetically, not a version designed to please others. So stop living their life. Stop performing their expectations. Stop betraying your truth for their comfort. This is your one life, the only one you get. The clock is ticking, and every day you spend living for their approval is a day you're not spending living for yourself. Every moment you waste worrying what they think is a moment you're not investing in what you actually want. Every choice you make from fear is a choice away from freedom. Lesson 6. The power of selective listening. Not all opinions are created equal. This is something most people never learn. They treat every opinion as if it has the same weight, the same validity, the same right to influence their choices. Someone who doesn't know you, doesn't know your situation, doesn't know your heart gets the same consideration as someone who's walked beside you for years with wisdom and love. This is insanity. And it's why you're so overwhelmed by others' opinions. Because you haven't learned to filter them. You haven't developed the wisdom to know which voices deserve your attention and which ones you should politely ignore. Buddha taught about discernment, about developing the wisdom to distinguish between helpful guidance and harmful noise. He said, "Believe nothing, no matter where you read it or who said it, no matter if I have said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense." This is profound. Even Buddha himself said, don't blindly accept his teachings. Test them. Filter them through your own wisdom. Keep what resonates. Release what doesn't. So let's talk about whose opinions actually matter. First, people who've achieved what you're trying to achieve. If you want to build a business, listen to successful entrepreneurs, not your risk-averse uncle who's never started anything. If you want to write a book, listen to published authors, not people who've never written beyond social media posts. If you want to transform your health, listen to people who've done it, not people who are still struggling themselves. This seems obvious, but most people do the opposite. They give equal weight to everyone's opinion. They let their cousin who's never left their hometown talk them out of traveling the world. They let their friend who's never been in a healthy relationship give them advice about love. They let people who've never pursued their dreams convince them to play it safe. Buddha had a teaching about this. Before accepting guidance, ask 3 questions. Does this person have wisdom? Do they have my best interest at heart? Do they understand my path? If the answer to any of these is no, their opinion, while you can hear it, shouldn't carry decision-making weight. Second, listen to people who know you deeply. Not people who know your public persona, your social media version, your carefully curated image. People who've seen you at your worst and your best, who've witnessed your journey, who understand your values, your struggles, your authentic self. These people, when they offer feedback, it comes from real knowledge, not projection or assumption. But even here, be selective. Just because someone has known you a long time doesn't mean they know you well. Your family might have known you longest, but still see you through an outdated lens. They might still relate to the version of you that existed 20 years ago, unable to accept that you've grown, changed, evolved. Third, listen to people who want you to expand, not contract. To grow, not shrink. To become more yourself, not less. Some people, often unconsciously, want to keep you small. Not because they're evil, but because your growth threatens their comfort zone. Your expansion highlights their stagnation. Your courage makes them feel their fear. These people will disguise their discomfort as concern. I'm just worried about you. I don't want you to get hurt. Are you sure you've thought this through? Their words sound caring, but the effect is limiting. They're trying to keep you in the box they're comfortable with, the version of you that doesn't challenge their worldview. Real support sounds different. I'm scared for you, but I trust you. This is outside my comfort zone, but it's your life. I don't understand your choice, but I see how alive it makes you. These people prioritize your authenticity over their comfort, your growth over their fear, your truth over their preference. Fourth, listen to your own inner wisdom. This is the voice beneath all the others, the quiet knowing that's been speaking to you all along. It doesn't shout. It doesn't argue. It doesn't need to convince you. It just knows. And when you've learned to distinguish this voice from fear, from ego, from conditioning, this is the voice that matters most. How do you recognize your inner wisdom versus your fear? Wisdom feels calm, centered, clear, even when it's guiding you towards something challenging. Fear feels panicked, contracted, urgent, dramatic. Wisdom says, this is aligned with who I am. Fear says, but what if they think? Wisdom focuses on your truth. Fear focuses on their reaction. Now let's talk about whose opinions don't matter. People who don't know you, strangers on the internet, casual acquaintances, people who've only seen your carefully edited public persona. They're commenting on a version of you they've constructed in their imagination. Their opinions are about their projection, not your reality. Why would you give this weight in your decision-making? People who aren't living their own truth. If someone has completely compromised their authenticity, abandoned their dreams, settled for a life of quiet desperation, why would you let them guide your choices? They're speaking from their wounds, their regrets, their fears, not from wisdom. Buddha taught about this very thing. He said, those who are free of resentful thoughts surely find peace. But also, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. When you give power to the opinions of people who don't have your best interest at heart, you're grasping the hot coal. Here's a practice. Make 2 lists. List 1. People whose opinion I value and why. Be specific. What qualities do they have? What do they understand about me or my situation? How have they earned a voice in my life? This list should be short, quality over quantity. These are your advisors, your counsel, the voices worth considering. List 2. People whose opinions I'm going to stop caring about. Again, be specific. Why have I been giving them power? What am I afraid will happen if I stop caring what they think? What would change in my life if their opinion held no weight? Then practice. When someone from list 2 offers their judgment, their criticism, their unsolicited advice, practice this response either out loud or internally. Thank you for sharing your perspective. I'll consider it. And then don't actually consider it. Don't ruminate on it. Don't let it influence you. Just acknowledge it and let it pass. When someone from list 1 offers feedback, even difficult feedback, practice receiving it differently. Tell me more. Help me understand your perspective. What are you seeing that I might be missing? Listen openly. Consider it seriously, and then filter it through your own wisdom. Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. This is selective listening. Most people are drowning in noise because they haven't learned to filter. They're giving the same weight to random internet comments as they give to their mentor's guidance. Buddha taught, 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Your truth knows who to listen to. Your wisdom knows whose perspective matters. You just have to practice honoring that knowing, instead of giving equal weight to every voice that speaks. So practice selective listening, not because you're arrogant or closed-minded, but because your life is too precious to be shaped by people who don't understand it. Your path is too important to be derailed by people who aren't walking it. Listen widely, consider thoughtfully, but decide independently. Lesson 7. The freedom in disappointing others. This is going to be uncomfortable to hear, but it's essential for your freedom. You have to be willing to disappoint people. Not as a goal, not as rebellion for rebellion's sake, because the moment you start honoring your truth, someone will be disappointed. This is guaranteed. And your willingness to accept this, to be okay with it, is what determines whether you ever become free. Most people are so terrified of disappointing others that they sacrifice their entire lives to avoid it. They stay in relationships that aren't working. They pursue careers that don't fulfill them. They hide their true selves. They silence their authentic voice, all to maintain everyone else's comfort, everyone else's expectations, everyone else's image of who they should be. But here's what they don't realize. You're disappointing someone either way. When you live for others' approval, when you betray your truth to meet their expectations, you're disappointing the most important person, yourself. You're abandoning your soul. You're breaking promises to your authentic self. And that disappointment, that betrayal of yourself, it creates a suffering that never goes away. Buddha taught about the middle way. Not self-indulgence, but also not self-denial. Not arrogance, but also not self-abandonment. The middle way means honoring yourself while being compassionate toward others. It means making choices that align with your truth, even when those choices make others uncomfortable. There's a story about a student who came to her master, tormented by guilt. "Master," she said, "I've decided to move away to pursue my calling, but my family is devastated. My mother cries. My father says I'm being selfish. My siblings say I'm abandoning them. How can I do this when it causes them so much pain?" The master asked, "If you stay, will you be happy?" "No," the student admitted. "I'll be resentful, unfulfilled. Part of me will die." Then their pain is about their attachment to who they want you to be, not about who you actually are. You staying won't heal their attachment. It will only reinforce it. And it will kill your spirit in the process. This is wisdom, understanding that other people's disappointment in your authentic choices is not your burden to fix. It's theirs to process. You didn't create their expectations. You're not responsible for their attachment to a version of you that doesn't exist. But we've been taught the opposite. We've been taught that disappointing others makes us bad people, selfish, inconsiderate, cold. We've been taught that love means sacrifice, and sacrifice means abandoning yourself for others. This is not love. This is codependency. This is self-betrayal disguised as virtue. Real love, mature love, wise love, it looks different. It says, I care about you. I don't want to hurt you unnecessarily, but I also cannot live my life according to your expectations. I have to honor my own path, even when it disappoints you. And I trust that you're strong enough to handle that disappointment. This is the freedom you're seeking. The freedom to live authentically, even when it means someone won't like it. But to access this freedom, you have to confront some hard truths. First, their disappointment is often about control, not love. When someone is disappointed in your authentic choices, ask yourself, are they disappointed because my choice will genuinely harm them? Or are they disappointed because I'm not doing what they want me to do? If you're stealing from them, lying to them, actively hurting them, their disappointment is valid and you should examine your behavior. But if you're simply making a choice they don't agree with, living a life that doesn't match their vision, pursuing a path they wouldn't choose, their disappointment is about their need to control you, not about genuine harm. Your mother is disappointed you're not having children. But your choice not to have children doesn't actually harm her. It just doesn't fulfill her expectation. Your friend is disappointed you don't want to party like you used to. But your choice to live differently doesn't hurt them. It just means you're growing in a different direction. Your family is disappointed you left the religion. But your spiritual path doesn't damage them. It just challenges their worldview. Second, their disappointment is temporary. It feels huge in the moment. The tears, the arguments, the silent treatment, the guilt trips. It feels like the end of the world. But emotions are temporary. People adapt. Time heals. What feels like devastating disappointment today becomes accepted reality tomorrow. Think about past decisions where you chose authenticity despite others' disappointment. The relationship you ended, the job you quit, the move you made. Did their disappointment last forever? Or did they eventually accept it, adapt to it, maybe even understand it? Most people discover that the disappointment they feared so much was intense but brief. And on the other side of it, once everyone adjusted, life went on. Third, your willingness to disappoint them might be the most honest thing you ever do in the relationship. When you constantly shape yourself to meet their expectations, when you hide your truth to maintain their comfort, you're not actually connecting. You're performing. They don't actually know you. They know the version you've created to please them. But when you show up authentically, even when it disappoints them, you give them the opportunity to know the real you. To decide if they can love the real you, not just the performed version. And yes, some people won't be able to. Some relationships won't survive your authenticity. But the ones that do, they become deeper, more real, more valuable than any relationship based on performance ever could be. Buddha said, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Notice he didn't say how much you pleased others or how well you met everyone's expectations. He said how much you loved. And you cannot truly love neither yourself nor others while living inauthentically. So practice this. Practice being okay with disappointing people. And here's what you'll discover. The people who truly love you, they'll adjust. They might not like your choice. They might be disappointed initially, but they'll respect your right to make it. They'll prioritize the relationship over their preference. They'll love you enough to let you be yourself. The people who can't accept your authenticity, who need you to stay in the box they've created, who make their love conditional on your compliance, they're revealing something important. They don't love you. They love what you do for them. They love the version of you that serves their needs. And as painful as it is, better to know this now than to waste your life trying to earn love from people who were never offering it freely. Buddha taught, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Your life is too short, too precious. You came here to live your story. And that requires the courage to disappoint people who want you to live theirs. The freedom you're seeking is on the other side of their disappointment. And it's worth it. Every time. Lesson 8. The power of radical self-acceptance. Here's a truth that will either terrify you or liberate you. The opinions of others have no power over you unless you agree with them. When someone criticizes you and it cuts deep, it's not because their words are powerful. It's because somewhere inside you believe they might be right. You're already judging yourself. Their criticism just echoes the voice in your own head. Buddha taught about this extensively. He called it metta, loving kindness toward oneself. But this isn't the surface-level love yourself platitude you see on social media. This is deep, radical, unconditional self-acceptance. This is looking at every part of yourself, even the parts you've been taught are wrong or shameful or too much, and saying, this is me. This is valid. This belongs. Most people are at war with themselves. They have a list of things they hate about themselves, things they're trying to fix, hide, change, improve. Their body, their personality, their past, their emotions, their desires, their fears. And this internal war makes them incredibly vulnerable to external judgment, because they're already convinced something's wrong with them. Others' criticism just confirms it. But what if nothing is wrong with you? What if every part of you, even the parts you've been taught to reject, has a place, a purpose, a validity? What if the problem isn't who you are, but the impossible standards you've been measuring yourself against? There's a story about a student who came to Buddha, listing all his flaws. I'm too emotional. I'm too impulsive. I'm too intense. I'm too much. Buddha listened quietly, then asked, "Who told you these things about yourself?" The student paused. "Everyone. My parents, my teachers, my friends." Buddha smiled gently. "And did you ever ask yourself if they were right? Or did you just accept their judgments as truth?" This is the question. Whose voice are you believing? The voice that says you're too much or not enough, too sensitive or too cold, too ambitious or too lazy. Is that your truth? Or is that the internalized voice of people who needed you to be different to fit their comfort zone? Radical self-acceptance means questioning every judgment you've ever accepted about yourself. It means examining the beliefs you have about who you are and asking, is this actually true? Or is this what I was taught to believe? Is this my authentic knowing? Or is this conditioning? You were told you're too loud. But what if your volume is exactly right for you? What if the people who said you're too loud just preferred everyone to be quiet, to not take up space, to not be fully expressed? What if there's nothing wrong with your volume? What if the problem was their discomfort with aliveness? You were told you're too emotional. But what if your emotionality is a gift? What if it means you feel deeply, love fully, experience life in its full spectrum? You were told you're not ambitious enough. But what if your pace is perfect for you? What if you value presence over productivity, connection over achievement, being over doing? What if there's nothing wrong with that? What if the people judging your pace were just uncomfortable with their own rest? This is radical self-acceptance, questioning every should, every judgment, every way you've been taught you're wrong, and reclaiming your right to be exactly who you are. Buddha said, "You can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself. And that person is not to be found anywhere. But most people treat themselves worse than they'd treat anyone else. They speak to themselves with cruelty they'd never direct at another person. They judge themselves with standards they'd never apply to someone they care about." Imagine talking to a child the way you talk to yourself. "You're so stupid. You're not good enough. You're too much. You're not enough. Everyone else is better than you. You should be ashamed. You would never." That would be abuse. But to yourself. You think it's motivation. You think it's keeping yourself in check. You think it's preventing arrogance. But it's not. It's just suffering. Self-inflicted, constant suffering. And it makes you desperately vulnerable to others' opinions. Because if you already believe you're not good enough, every criticism confirms it. If you already believe something's wrong with you, every judgment validates it. So here's the practice. Start treating yourself the way you'd treat someone you deeply love. When you make a mistake, instead of "I'm so stupid," try "I'm learning." When you don't meet a goal, instead of "I'm such a failure," try "This didn't work out. What can I learn? What can I try differently?" When someone criticizes you, instead of immediately accepting it as truth, pause. Ask yourself, do I actually believe this about myself? Or am I just afraid they might be right? If it's the latter, if you're just reacting to their opinion without actually examining whether it's true, let it go. Don't accept judgments you don't genuinely believe. I'm sensitive, and that's okay. It means I feel things deeply. It's part of how I experience life. I'm quiet, and that's fine. It means I process internally. It's how I'm wired. Whatever it is, whatever part of you you've been taught is wrong, practice accepting it, not as something to eventually fix, but as something that's valid exactly as it is, as part of the unique expression of life that you are. This doesn't mean you can't grow. It doesn't mean you can't learn new skills, develop new capacities, evolve as a person. But there's a huge difference between growing from self-acceptance and growing from self-rejection. When you grow from acceptance, you're expanding who you already are. When you grow from rejection, you're trying to become someone else. Buddha taught that suffering comes from attachment and aversion. We're attached to being one way and averse to being another way. But what if you could hold yourself with neither attachment nor aversion? What if you could simply be without judgment? What if you could accept yourself so completely that others' opinions lose their power? This is radical self-acceptance, and it's the foundation of not caring what others think. Because when you genuinely accept yourself, when you've made peace with who you are, when you've stopped fighting yourself, their judgments have nothing to stick to. They might have an opinion, fine. That's their right. But it doesn't land because you're not already attacking yourself in that same place. Someone says you're too much. You think, maybe for them, but I like my intensity. It feels authentic to me. Someone says you're not enough. You think, by whose standard? I'm exactly enough for my own life. Someone judges your choices. You think, they're welcome to their opinion. But I'm the one living my life and I'm okay with my decisions. This is freedom, not from their opinions. They'll always have opinions, but freedom from those opinions having power over you. Freedom from needing to defend yourself. Freedom from being shaken by every criticism. Freedom from constantly trying to earn approval by suppressing who you are. So practice radical self-acceptance, not as a destination. Not as I've arrived and now I love everything about myself, but as a daily practice, a continuous return to kindness with yourself, a repeated choice to be on your own side, and watch what happens. Watch how other people's judgments start to lose their sting. Watch how criticism rolls off instead of cutting deep. Watch how you become unshakable, not because you're arrogant or closed off, but because you've accepted yourself so completely that their rejection can't reach the core of who you are. Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The same is true for acceptance. It comes from within. When you accept yourself, you stop needing them to accept you. When you validate yourself, you stop needing their validation. When you're okay with who you are, their disapproval becomes irrelevant. This is the power of radical self-acceptance. This is the foundation of freedom. This is how you stop caring what they think, not by becoming hard or indifferent, but by becoming so secure in yourself that their opinions simply don't determine your worth anymore." Lesson 9. The price of authenticity. Let's talk about something most people avoid. Living authentically comes with a cost. It's not free. There's a price to pay for being yourself in a world that constantly asks you to be someone else. And you need to understand this price. You need to accept it, or you'll always be tempted to go back to performing, to conforming, to living small. What's the price? Some people won't like you. Some relationships will end. Some doors will close. Some opportunities might pass you by. Some people who love the performed version of you will reject the authentic version. This is guaranteed. It's not a possibility, it's a certainty. And most people, when they start to experience this cost, they panic. They think, see, I knew I shouldn't be myself. Being authentic is causing problems. It's safer to go back to performing. But this is a trap, because there's also a cost to not being authentic. And that cost is actually much higher. Buddha taught extensively about the middle way, about understanding that every choice has consequences. But he also taught about wise discernment, about choosing consequences that lead toward freedom rather than toward suffering. Let's examine both costs clearly, so you can make an informed choice. The cost of authenticity: you will lose people. When you stop performing, some people won't know how to relate to you anymore. You are playing a role in their life, filling a need, being what they expected. And when you stop, when you show up as yourself, they might not like it. They might reject you. They might judge you. They might walk away. This hurts. No way around it. Losing relationships, even relationships that weren't actually healthy, it hurts. Being rejected, even by people whose approval you shouldn't need, it hurts. Being judged even by people whose opinions shouldn't matter, it hurts. This is real pain. This is a real cost. You will also face more direct criticism. When you're performing, when you're being what everyone wants you to be, you get approval. Not authentic connection, but approval. Surface-level acceptance based on your conformity. But when you're authentic, when you're different, when you stand out, you become a target. People feel free to criticize what they don't understand, to judge what makes them uncomfortable. to attack what threatens their worldview. You might face professional consequences. Depending on your field, your environment, your situation, being fully yourself might cost you opportunities. The job that wants someone who fits a certain mold, the promotion that goes to someone more conventional, the client who prefers someone less opinionated. These are real possibilities. You will also experience discomfort. Living authentically means doing things that scare you, setting boundaries that make you nervous, expressing opinions that might not be popular, making choices others don't understand. This discomfort, this fear, this vulnerability, it's part of the price, so that's the cost. Real relationships lost, real criticism faced, real opportunities potentially missed, real discomfort experienced. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'm not going to tell you that being authentic is easy or comfortable or without consequence. It's not. But now let's look at the other cost. The cost of staying inauthentic. The price you pay for continuing to perform, to conform, to live for others' approval. First, you lose yourself. Every time you betray your truth for their comfort, you abandon a piece of your soul. Every time you suppress your authentic expression for their approval, you diminish who you are. Eventually, you look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself. You've become a collection of other people's expectations. A carefully constructed image that's acceptable to everyone, except the one person who has to live inside it. You. Second, you live with constant anxiety. When you're performing, you're always worried about being found out, about slipping up, about accidentally showing who you really are and having people reject you. It's exhausting. Maintaining all these different versions of yourself for different audiences, remembering which mask to wear in which situation, living in constant fear that the real you will be discovered and rejected. Third, you experience soul-deep loneliness. Even when you're surrounded by people, even when you're getting approval and acceptance, you feel alone because they don't actually know you. They know the performance. They accept the mask. But the real you, the authentic you, is hidden and unseen and unknown. And that creates a loneliness that no amount of surface-level connection can fill. Fourth, you accumulate regret. Years pass, decades pass, and you realize you never actually lived your life. You spent all that time living for them, meeting their expectations, earning their approval. And what do you have to show for it? A life that looks good from the outside, but feels empty from the inside. A resume of achievements that meant nothing to your soul. A collection of relationships that were never real. Buddha spoke about this. He said, "The trouble is you think you have time." People spend years, decades, lifetimes postponing their authenticity, telling themselves they'll be themselves later, when they're more established, when they're more secure, when others are ready, when it's safer. But later never comes. Time runs out, and they realize they sacrificed their one precious life on the altar of others' opinions. Fifth, you model inauthenticity for others. Your children, if you have them, learn from watching you. They learn that their value comes from others' approval, that they should hide who they are. That authenticity is dangerous. Your friends watch you perform and think they have to as well. Your colleagues see you conforming and believe that's what success requires. Your inauthenticity perpetuates a cycle of inauthenticity. Sixth, you never discover your potential. You never know what you could have created, experienced, become if you'd lived from your truth. You never pursue the dreams that don't fit others' expectations. You never develop the parts of yourself that others don't approve of. You never discover who you really are beneath all the performance. So let's be clear, both paths have a cost. Authenticity costs relationships with people who only liked the performance. Inauthenticity costs relationship with yourself. Authenticity costs comfort. Inauthenticity costs peace. Authenticity costs approval from some people. Inauthenticity costs approval from the most important person, you. The question isn't whether there's a cost. There's always a cost. The question is which cost you're willing to pay. Which price makes sense for the life you actually want to live? Which consequence you can accept and which one you can't? Buddha taught, the root of suffering is attachment, and one of the deepest attachments is to being liked by everyone, to having everyone's approval, to avoiding all conflict, all rejection, all criticism. This attachment, more than almost any other, will keep you imprisoned, will keep you small, will keep you from living. So you have to decide. And this is not a one-time decision, it's a daily choice, sometimes hourly. Every time you're faced with the choice between authenticity and approval, you have to choose. Will you be yourself even if they don't like it? Or will you perform even though it kills something inside you? Here's what I've learned, what Buddha taught, what countless people have discovered. The cost of authenticity, while real and sometimes painful, is temporary. People adjust, new relationships form, different doors open, and the person you become through choosing authenticity, that person is stronger, clearer, more alive than the person who was hiding. But the cost of inauthenticity, that cost compounds. It gets worse over time. The anxiety deepens, the loneliness intensifies, the regret accumulates, and eventually you reach a breaking point where you realize you can't live this way anymore. And then you have to pay both costs, the cost of years of inauthenticity and the cost of finally choosing authenticity. It's far more painful to course correct after decades than to choose authenticity from the start. So accept the cost. Stop pretending authenticity is free. It's not. It costs something, but it's worth it. 1,000 times worth it. Because what you gain, the freedom, the peace, the self-respect, the genuine connections, the life that's actually yours, it's worth every relationship lost, every criticism faced, every uncomfortable moment endured. Buddha said, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. This is the path, authenticity, living your truth regardless of their opinions. And yes, it costs something, but living inauthentically costs everything. So choose. Choose wisely. Choose consciously. Choose what you can actually live with. But choose. Because not choosing is also a choice. And usually it's the choice to keep performing, keep hiding, keep sacrificing yourself for their comfort. Choose authenticity. Pay the price. And discover that what you gain is worth infinitely more than what you lose. Lesson 10. Living as your own authority. We've arrived at the final teaching, the culmination of everything we've explored. And it's this: you must become your own authority, not in arrogance, not in isolation, not in rejection of all wisdom, but in deep trust of your own knowing, your own truth, your own inner guidance. Most people live their entire lives as followers of parents, of teachers, of religion, of culture, of social norms, of trends, of what everyone else is doing. They're constantly looking outside themselves for answers. What should I do? What's right? What's the correct choice? And they're asking everyone except the one person who actually knows, themselves. Buddha's entire teaching was about this, about awakening to your own wisdom, about trusting your own experience, about becoming a lamp unto yourself. He didn't want disciples who blindly followed. He wanted people who discovered their own truth, who walked their own path, who became their own authority. He said, be a lamp unto yourself. Be your own refuge. Seek for no other. All things must pass. Strive on diligently. This is profound. He's saying, don't even depend on me. Don't make me your authority. Become your own. Trust your own light. Walk your own path. But we've been conditioned to do the opposite. We've been trained from birth to look outside for answers, to defer to authority, to trust everyone's judgment except our own. Parents know better. Teachers know better. The church knows better. The government knows better. Experts know better. Society knows better. Everyone knows better than you. And maybe when you were a child, when you were truly learning, when you had no experience, this made sense. But you're not a child anymore. You have decades of experience. You've lived things. You've learned things. You've developed wisdom. And yet, you're still deferring to external authority as if you're that child who doesn't know anything. It's time to grow up. Not in the sense of becoming serious or losing your wonder, but in the sense of taking full responsibility for your life, for your choices, for your path, for who you are and who you're becoming. And that means becoming your own authority. What does this mean practically? It means when you're faced with a decision, you can seek input, consider perspectives, gather information, but ultimately, you decide based on your own values, your own wisdom, your own knowing, not based on what they'll think, not based on what's expected, not based on what others would choose, based on what's true for you. It means when someone offers advice, even someone you respect, you filter it through your own wisdom. You ask, does this resonate with my truth? Does this align with my path? Does this feel right in my body, in my gut, in my soul? And if it doesn't, you don't follow it. Even if they're an expert, even if they mean well, even if everyone else is doing it, it means you stop outsourcing your knowing. You stop conducting polls about your life. What do you think I should do? Stop. What do you think you should do? What does your inner wisdom say? What feels aligned with who you are? There's a story of a student who constantly asked his master for guidance. Should I do this? Should I do that? What's the right choice? Finally, the master said, I'm going to stop answering your questions. The student was shocked. But I need your wisdom. The master replied, you need your own wisdom. Every time you ask me, you're practicing dependence. Every time I answer, I'm reinforcing your belief that you don't know. But you do know. You've always known. You just haven't trusted yourself. This is the shift from seeking external validation to trusting internal knowing, from asking permission to giving yourself permission, from waiting for someone else to tell you you're ready to deciding you're ready, from needing their approval to approving of yourself. Buddha taught about sati, mindfulness or right awareness. It's about being present with your actual experience, not with what you've been told your experience should be. It's about trusting what you observe, what you feel, what you know from direct experience, more than you trust what others tell you should be true. You've been taught that your emotions are too much, or not trustworthy, or need to be controlled. But what if your emotions are valuable data? What if they're telling you something important? What if anger is pointing you toward a boundary you need to set? What if sadness is showing you something you need to grieve? What if fear is highlighting something that matters to you? You've been taught that your desires are selfish or wrong or need to be suppressed. But what if your desires are showing you your path? What if they're revealing what your soul came here to do? What if they're pointing you toward your purpose? You've been taught that your body is separate from wisdom, that you should live in your head, that rational thinking is superior to intuitive knowing. But what if your body holds profound wisdom? What if the sensation in your gut when something feels wrong is valuable information? What if the expansion in your chest when something feels right is guidance? Becoming your own authority means integrating all of your knowing. Not just your rational mind, but your emotions, your body, your intuition, your experience. All of it is data. All of it is valid. All of it is part of how you navigate life. But here's what's important to understand. Being your own authority doesn't mean being rigid or closed-minded. It doesn't mean rejecting all input or thinking you know everything. Real authority, mature authority, wise authority, it's humble. It knows it doesn't have all the answers. It remains open to learning. It seeks wisdom from many sources. But then, and this is crucial, it filters everything through its own center. It doesn't blindly accept. It doesn't automatically reject. It considers, discerns, and then decides based on what aligns with its own truth. Think of yourself as the CEO of your life. A good CEO seeks input from advisors, from experts, from people with relevant experience. But ultimately, the CEO decides. The CEO takes responsibility. The CEO says, I've heard all the perspectives. Now, based on what I know about this situation, about our values, about where we're going, here's what we're doing. You are the CEO of your life. Other people are advisors, some very wise, some with valuable input, some worth listening to carefully. But they're advisors, not decision makers, not authority figures who get to veto your choices. Advisors, and you get to decide which advice to take and which to leave. This requires courage, because when you become your own authority, you also become fully responsible. You can't blame your parents anymore for your choices. You can't blame society. You can't blame your circumstances. You chose based on your knowing. And if it doesn't work out, that's on you. You have to own it. But here's the beautiful part. When you succeed, when you make choices that work out, that lead to growth, to joy, to fulfillment, that's yours too. You did that. You trusted yourself. You chose wisely. And you get to claim that. Not I got lucky, not they made it possible, but I trusted myself and it worked out. Buddha's final teaching, his last words before he died, were these: be a lamp unto yourselves. Work out your own salvation with diligence. Work out your own salvation. Not follow mine, not depend on external authority. Work out your own. Find your own path. Trust your own wisdom. Become your own authority. So practice this, starting today. When you're faced with a choice, before you ask anyone else, ask yourself first. Sit quietly, get still, and ask, what do I know about this? What feels true to me? What aligns with my values? What does my inner wisdom say? And then trust that, even if it's different from what others would choose, even if it doesn't make sense to them, even if they judge it. Trust it, follow it, honor it, because it's your truth, your knowing, your path. When you do this consistently, when you practice trusting yourself, something profound happens. You become unshakable. Not because you're always right. You won't be. You'll make mistakes. But because you're no longer dependent on external validation. You're anchored in your own center, grounded in your own knowing, guided by your own light. And when you're anchored there, other people's opinions become just information, not commands, not threats, not determinants of your worth. Just information. Interesting. They see it that way. I see it this way. I'm going to trust my knowing. This is freedom. This is what Buddha taught. This is what every authentic life requires. Becoming your own authority, living from your own center, trusting your own wisdom, walking your own path, not in arrogance, not in isolation, not in rejection of all input, but in deep trust of the knowing that lives within you, the knowing that's been there all along, waiting for you to listen, waiting for you to trust, waiting for you to become your own authority. So claim it, your authority, your wisdom, your right to live according to your own truth. No one can give this to you. No one can grant you permission. You have to take it. You have to claim it. You have to decide that your knowing matters, that your truth is valid, that your path is yours to walk. Buddha said, you are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be, but only if you become your own authority. Only if you stop giving your power away to others' opinions. Only if you trust yourself more than you fear their judgment. This is the final teaching, the culmination of everything. Stop caring what they think by becoming so grounded in your own knowing that their thoughts, while acknowledged, don't determine your choices. By trusting yourself so completely that their approval, while nice, isn't necessary. By living from your own authority so fully that their judgments, while heard, don't shake you. This is freedom. This is wisdom. This is your birthright. Claim it. So here we are, at the end of this journey, but really at the beginning of yours. Because everything I've shared with you today, it's not theory to study. It's practice to live. It's wisdom to embody every single day for the rest of your life. You came into this world free, completely, utterly free. You didn't care what anyone thought. You expressed yourself fully. You cried when you needed something. You laughed when something delighted you. You existed without self-consciousness, without shame, without the constant worry about others' opinions. Then the world taught you to care. Layer by layer, year by year, you were conditioned to seek approval, to fear rejection, to shape yourself according to others' expectations. You learned to perform, to hide, to shrink, to sacrifice your authenticity for their comfort. But Buddha's teaching invites you back to your original nature, back to freedom, back to authenticity. Not by becoming selfish or isolated or indifferent, but by recognizing that your life is yours to live. Your path is yours to walk. Your truth is yours to honor. The prison you've been living in, it's not real. The chains binding you are made of thoughts, of conditioning, of beliefs you accepted without questioning. And the moment you see this, the moment you recognize that you've been giving away your power, that's the moment you can take it back. You don't need their permission to be yourself. You don't need their approval to pursue your dreams. You don't need their understanding to walk your path. You need only your own courage, your own commitment, your own willingness to choose authenticity over approval. Will some people judge you? Yes. Will some relationships end? Probably. Will you face criticism? Absolutely. This is the cost of authenticity. And it's worth it. 1,000 times worth it. Because what you gain, the freedom, the peace, the self-respect, the life that's actually yours is worth every uncomfortable moment. Buddha said, the only way to find true happiness is to risk being completely cut open. This is that risk. The risk of being seen, of being known, of being yourself in a world that's constantly asking you to be someone else. But on the other side of that risk is a life beyond what you've imagined. A life where you wake up and you're not immediately worried about what people think. A life where you make choices based on your values, not their expectations. A life where you speak your truth without apologizing. A life where you set boundaries without guilt. A life where you're enough exactly as you are, without needing anyone's validation. This life is available to you, right now, not someday when you're braver, not when they're ready, not when it's easier. Now, today, this moment, you just have to choose it. You just have to decide that your authenticity matters more than their approval, that your peace matters more than their comfort, that your truth matters more than their opinions. So start today. Start small if you need to. Say no to something you don't want to do. Express an opinion that might not be popular. Wear something that feels like you, even if others don't get it. Make one choice from your truth instead of from fear of judgment. And then tomorrow do it again. And the day after. Build the muscle of authenticity. Strengthen your capacity to be yourself, regardless of their reactions. Practice trusting yourself more than you fear their disapproval. Some days will be easy. Some days you'll feel free, unshakable, completely at peace with yourself. Other days will be hard. You'll catch yourself performing again, seeking approval again, worrying what they think again. And that's okay. This is practice, not perfection. When you notice you've slipped back into caring too much what they think, don't judge yourself. Just notice, there's that old pattern again, and then gently, compassionately come back. Come back to your center. Come back to your truth. Come back to yourself. Buddha taught, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Their opinions are not meant for you. Their judgments are not yours to carry. Their expectations are not your responsibility. Let them go. Love yourself enough to be yourself. Live gently enough to honor your truth. Let go gracefully of the need for universal approval. This is the path. This is freedom. This is your life waiting to be lived. So breathe. Right now, take a deep breath. Feel yourself here in this moment, in this body, in this life that's yours. And make a commitment. Not to them, to yourself. I will stop sacrificing my authenticity for their approval. I will trust my own knowing more than I fear their judgment. I will live my truth even when it makes others uncomfortable. I will disappoint people rather than betray myself. I will become my own authority. I will reclaim my freedom. I will live my life as say it, mean it, live it. Because your life is too precious, too short, too sacred to spend it as a supporting character in everyone else's story. You came here to live your story. The one only you can tell, the one that requires all of you. The authentic, imperfect, messy, beautiful you. The world doesn't need another performance. Another carefully curated version designed to please everyone. The world needs you. The real you. The authentic you. The you that exists when no one's watching. That's the you the world is waiting for. So stop hiding, stop performing, stop shrinking, stop caring what they think, and start caring what you know, what your soul knows, what your truth demands, what your authentic self requires. Buddha's final teaching was this: be a lamp unto yourself. So be your own light. Trust your own knowing. Walk your own path. Live your own truth. Not later, not someday, now. Your freedom is waiting. Your authentic life is calling. Your true self is ready. All you have to do is choose it. Choose you. Choose freedom. Choose truth. Choose to stop caring what they think and start honoring what you know. If this teaching touched your soul, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's trapped in the prison of others' opinions. Someone who's sacrificing their authenticity for approval. Be the reminder they need. Be the permission they're seeking. Subscribe for more teachings like this. More wisdom for living free. More reminders of who you really are. More support for your journey back to yourself. And comment below. Tell me, what's one way you're going to stop caring what others think? What's one choice you're going to make from authenticity instead of approval? Share it. Commit to it. Make it real. Remember, every single day, their opinions don't define me. My truth guides me. I'm enough exactly as I am. I choose freedom. I choose authenticity. I choose me. Until we meet again, stay authentic. Stay free, stay true. Walk boldly through this world as yourself. The real you. The only you. The magnificent, imperfect, beautifully human you. Your life is waiting. Go live it. Namaste.